Each week, we see more cases of COVID-19 in some of the most vulnerable places, nursing homes and long-term care facilities. We've confirmed at least 6 Austin homes where employees or residents have become sick, and that number is still rising.
KXAN investigators have vetted dozens of tips about concerning cases, and some a lack of personal protective equipment at these homes. Our investigator Avery has more on what she found.
After several deaths at a Seattle facility early last month, Texas began taking steps to limit the spread in facilities here, including banning all non-essential visitors. But was it enough? We've heard from employees and family members at facilities across Austin that say they wish management had been more proactive instead of just reacting to confirmed cases. Here's a look inside one such claim.
She was the anchor in the center of the family for decades.
They called Peggy Brown the life of the party at her Northwest Austin nursing home, Gracie Woods.
Because she was very exuberant and outgoing, singing and talking.
In the last few years, her memory started to fade. She had frequent breathing problems and had fought her way through bouts of pneumonia. Like all elderly with health conditions, she was at a higher risk of complications if she contracted COVID-19. But when her grandson Neil got the call to come quick,
the question of COVID never crossed my mind at that time.
He stood vigil by his grandmother's side for more than 9 hours. With limited visitors, he was Peggy's only family there.
I was letting my family say goodbye to her over my speakerphone. So I was at not even arm's length, but I was at partial arm's length from her face the entire time.
He emphasized to KXAN the exceptional service at Gracie Woods during a dark time. But on that day, March 24th, he says with every worker that came through the door,
there were 0 gowns in use, there were 0 face shields in use.
He said just one nurse wore a surgical mask. He wasn't asked to wear anything protective.
None whatsoever.
On March 13th, the Department of Health and Human Services sent out a memo requiring visitors at these facilities to use hand hygiene and wear PPE, like masks. Brown says he has no idea if his grandmother had COVID-19 or not when she died in the early morning hours of March 25th. She was never tested, but just 2 days later, the home did announce a small number of residents had tested positive.
Everybody's scared.
3 Gracie Woods employees reached out to KXAN with similar concerns about a lack of protective gear.
Diagram on every hall for droplet protection, and then it was like you need a face shield, you need your isolation gown, you need the N95 mask. So you're posting these all around the building, but we don't have this equipment.
KXAN spoke to Gracie Woods Administrator Amanda Smith, who says they followed all CDC and state guidelines given each day. At the time Neil Brown visited the home, Smith says gowns and masks were only to be worn in residents' rooms that are required to be on isolation, which she was not. And they had no confirmed COVID-19 cases. But that was 2 weeks after those federal guidelines recommended widespread use of PPE.
They told us at the meeting that we should be wearing gowns, but they didn't have any for us.
One employee who asked to remain anonymous wonders if more should have been required sooner.
You're trying to prevent it, and it's already in the facility, and we haven't given the proper protection a week prior. What's the point?
The state's Health and Human Services Commission regulates these facilities and says it's monitoring them. They told KXAN all long-term care facilities where COVID-19 has been detected must follow guidelines on isolation and PPE. HHSC even came out to investigate Gracie Woods following their confirmed COVID cases. The facility was cleared of any wrongdoing related to the virus. Now we're seeing cases spread across the state. More than 67 confirmed cases at just one home in San Antonio. 78 cases in Lubbock are connected to nursing homes, with 5 deaths in just one home, and more than 80 residents and employees diagnosed at a Texas City facility. Back in Austin, about a week after saying goodbye to his grandmother for the very last time, Brown started feeling sick. He says he's now tested positive for COVID-19. He has no way of knowing where he contracted it, but in his opinion, might have been exposed while at the home.
In order to give my family that closure and that peace of mind, I would go back in today. But knowing what we know now, I would probably wear personal protective equipment.
Much of the conversation about the lack of personal protective equipment has been around hospitals, but long-term care facilities say the struggle is the same for them. In fact, one industry expert told me that they're just in line along with everybody else. Now, the city of Austin has said that they will be giving out supplies to facilities on an as-needed basis. They told us they haven't heard of any shortages, but they also could not tell us which facilities had requested supplies or which facilities had been given supplies. We'll continue to follow this story, though. For now, back to you in the studio.
Online now, we have a special page dedicated to our COVID-19 nursing homes coverage. You can explore our latest stories, an interactive map of the locations where we have confirmed cases, and a list of resources for you to get some help. You can find a link to the investigative section of KXAN.com right now.